order to achieve the best business outcomes for all stakeholders, business leaders have come face to face with two major business imperatives: how to digitally transform their companies and how to make them much more inclusive. They have been forced to realize that without either of these, they cannot deliver value or build a future for their organizations. Technology is now at the top of the list of most organizations because it is critical to growing, stabilizing, and ultimately preparing them for the largest component of a company's digital strategy is to equip its people not only to tackle the current set of challenges that they're confronted with, but also for the future that is bound to continue evolving. Diversity and inclusivity has also taken center stage as companies struggle to come to terms with the fact that a diverse workforce is essential in their race to move forward towards accelerated growth. The benefits include, amongst other things, enhanced job performance, increased revenues, and reduced turnover rates. Companies are also beginning to realize that an increasing number of clients, vendors, and partners prefer to work with organizations which believe in diversity and have inclusivity as a cornerstone of their value system. Research indicates that diverse teams are more innovative, stronger at anticipating shifts in consumer needs and consumption patterns that make new products and services possible, potentially generating a competitive edge. For example, one study found that over a 2-year period, companies with more women were more likely to introduce radical new innovations into the market. A separate study found that businesses run by culturally diverse leadership teams were more likely to develop new products than those with homogeneous leadership. As we look at digital transformation more closely, we come to realize that it is in fact digital transformation that will create enormous opportunities for diversity and inclusivity. As companies, out of necessity, start to invest billions of dollars into acquiring the latest technologies, they also realize that in order to reap the benefits of all this technology, they need to train their entire workforce to learn, to upskill themselves, and to utilize these tools effectively in their day-to-day work. Learning and professional development has therefore become a key imperative. No one can afford to be left behind. And interestingly enough, this also ends up leveling the playing field. Measuring and assessing an employee's performance now becomes easier, and any unconscious bias that may have been used in the past to assess employees on their performance is now history. Other than assessment, it is important to follow up with specific kind of assistance to fix weaknesses that might exist and to take advantage of particular strengths that an employee may have. The right kind of intervention at the right time can make such an important difference in building capabilities and hence impacting outcomes. New sources of talent have opened up due to the ability to hire remotely. This could be taken advantage of. Whenever I've spoken to CEOs of organizations, I've often heard complaints that there are multiple job openings that have remained open over periods of time because organizations are looking to fill them from the same traditional talent pools. They have over time identified certain top schools from which they hire. A lot of the hiring is also done through referrals from existing employees. This made sense at one time because the same kind of people found comfort in working with people that were like them, similar mindsets, similar backgrounds. It was just easier. But didn't it also mean no diversity of thought or opinion, hence no innovation, no diversity of solutions? As leaders start thinking about this, they realize that the previous strategy doesn't work anymore. With customers and partners becoming more demanding and seeking newer types of solutions, businesses need to look past the normal, imagine what is actually required for imaginative and willing to learn and adopt new skills candidates. They need to reach out to a different set of universities or schools, in addition to the ones they are used to. They must expand their search for talent. All of this means giving fresh opportunities to a more diverse pool of candidates. Digital transformation is changing how we work together and showing us how to be more inclusive. Tech-enabled businesses are meant to make our lives easier and enable more flexibility. I remember a time when working remotely was just a dream. Who knew at that time that mobiles and laptops would empower a large number of people to consider working remotely? No more is there a requirement for a structured office environment to do the work that can be done from wherever you are and at whatever time is convenient to you. This is a great relief, especially for women, for single or working parents, for the differently abled, and those that don't live in city centers or close to where many of these companies operate. Lack of access to safe transportation, security, and distance from work are no longer hindrances to access good jobs and the benefits that come along with them. But first things first, as leaders, we need to prioritize and integrate digital transformation and diversity and inclusion into whatever we do. And when I say prioritize, I don't mean a tick in the box. The message must be clear from as high up as the board of directors to the management, to the divisional heads, to the departments, to the managers, and to every single individual in the organization that diversity and inclusion is at the heart of the company's strategy and its values. People at all levels of the organization, in all functions, need to be challenged to ensure that diversity and inclusion are part of all plans and programs that the company initiates. Without that, transformation is not likely to occur. Hiring practices have already started to change, and companies need to incorporate those into their recruitment strategies. Is a bachelor's or master's degree really required for the roles you are looking to fill? Or are certain skill sets and knowledge areas more important and sufficient for the work that you need done? Is hiring an MBA from a top school really a need? Look deep and find out what it is the organization really needs and what types of people can fill the required roles. As more and more companies look at remote as a first option, the talent pool available to them opens up. There are qualified and talented women with deep knowledge of and expertise in healthcare, marketing, engineering, finance, IT, design, content writing, sales, etc., who are suddenly available because they're not required to be in a certain workspace for a certain number of hours at a distance from their homes. Talented resources that don't live in the immediate vicinity also become available. Opportunities open up for people with physical challenges who are brilliant, knowledgeable, and competent, and quite capable of fulfilling many of the roles that are open in organizations. Companies also need to continually digitally upskill and train not only new hires, but also existing employees. They need to keep a sharp eye out for talent within the organization, as well as to fulfill roles that may be outside of a person's known area of expertise. It enhances their capabilities and opens up fresh new opportunities for them in areas that they may not have known were available to them. Different people learn differently. Organizations, therefore, need to invest time and resources into listening to their people to better understand where the challenges, obstacles, and anxieties are when it comes to learning, and then design tools and use software to help them overcome them. If it's too hard for people to upskill, or if the tools and programs that you deploy are designed by one group of people for that same group of people, you will lose out on great talent. As companies look at reducing the size of their workspaces and increasing the size of their remote teams, allowing a larger number of their employees to work from their homes, they also need to look at investing a certain amount of money into ensuring that their remote workers are not only trained on the use of the new digital tools, but that they are also equipped with the right setup at home. This includes tables, comfortable chairs, a laptop, a fast and stable internet connection, lighting, and anything they need to carry out their jobs as effectively as they would have done from their office spaces. It is incorrect to assume that all this is available to them at home. So better to check with them, find out, and then make sure that they are as comfortable working from their home spaces as they were from the office spaces that you provided. To decide to undertake a journey of digital transformation, which includes diversity and inclusion, may be an easy decision or a decision that companies are forced into adopting. But to execute it requires planning, agility, and the right kind of mindset. It takes a strong leader who actually believes in the journey and in the transformation, who can make this work. Thank you. That's all I had to say, and I'm looking forward to listening to the participants of the roundtable and to engaging with participants after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jahan, for the keynote presentation. So I'm now going to introduce our moderator for our panel of today, Aurora Aritao. Let me show you. Okay. Okay, so Aurora Aritao, she's the Managing Director of Thrive in Mind, and she's the founder of this international leadership development company. And she's also an organizational consultant, executive and team coach with extensive prior experience in tech product marketing with companies like Microsoft, Vodafone, Optus, BT, and Hutchison. Yeah, if you're interested, you can find out more about Thrive in Mind at the following website. Without further ado, may I introduce Aurora to the stage, and she will introduce the panelists of today. Welcome, Aurora.
Thank you, Christina, and welcome everyone to this wonderful Women4Tech panel. We're going to go straight in, and I'll introduce our three panelists. And of course, our keynote speaker, Jahan, is also online as well to join us. So let me introduce, we're going to have Avril Ray. Avril is a fintech advisor from a company called Provision Partners. She has 20 years IT experience within the financial services ecosystem. She is an ambassador to Moxie Future, a female community to empower and educate females on sustainable investing. Avril is currently acting as Vice Chair for the British Chamber's Innovation and Technology Committee and was a founding member of the FinTech Association Hong Kong. Thank you and welcome, Avril. Secondly, Eriko Hondo. Eriko is the Manager of Standard Strategy, Technology Strategy, Tech Planning of KDDI. She's also the Vice Chair of Working Group 3 at the APT Preparatory Group for WTSA 20, responsible for coordination of the regional interests of the regulatory and standardization related issues and preparing regionally for the contributions to the Assembly. Thank you and welcome, Eriko. And finally, we have Carolyn Yniente. She's the Chief Business Officer of Telenor Myanmar. Carolyn has more than 15 years in telecom finance. She's the first Myanmar woman who broke the glass ceiling, holding a C-level position in a multinational corporation, and the first Myanmar citizen to attain the CNCPA status. She received the Myanmar's Women Leaders Award from CMO Asia and Pioneering Women Leadership Award at the recent World Women Leadership Congress in 2020. Welcome, Carolyn. Okay, so let's jump right in, everyone. This Women4Tech panel is going to talk about what opportunities and challenges that these recent interesting times have surfaced for us. And so that's going to be the first topic of our discussion. The question is, what have you observed? What have you noticed in terms of opportunities and challenges that have surfaced during this COVID period that is impacting women in tech? both opportunities and challenges that you have noticed. And let's start with Avril. Avril, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very interesting year, I think, and everyone will agree. So, you know, in Hong Kong, I don't think flexible working practices were really tested to any degree before the beginning of the year. So I think it's been very challenging, even for the most largest, you know, enterprises here. So, you know, with the need for everyone to work from home and also children not going to school, suddenly you're faced with living in very small accommodation and often sharing devices and contention for bandwidth on your internet. And that's just the home. The enterprise is faced with, you know, making sure that people have the right hardware, make sure they have enough VPN connections and the capacity to cope with everyone working from home, and then the cybersecurity and the, you know, the stuff that goes around it. So I think it has thrown a lot of challenges, but I think what it has shown is that it is possible. I think we've found ways to incorporate our home life with our work life. And, you know, maybe it means you can't do a conference call first thing in the morning, but, you know, you can schedule your afternoon, you know, in a different way. And, you know, sharing space and capacity and devices, and you know, not everybody has multiple, you know, home offices where everybody can work. And if you're a two-parent family, you've got the husband and the wife potentially working from home. And, you know, it's quite difficult, I think, particularly in Hong Kong, where apartments are just not built for that. And also, I think contention in buildings as well. If you're living in a large building with, you know, one fiber connection, but all of your neighbors are also home, then, you know, it becomes quite challenging, I think, from a contention perspective. But what it does mean is that we have the opportunity to manage our time much more effectively and really give everything to our work and not be distracted. And I think, you know, people who can work from home, that don't have to travel for an hour, don't have to get the MTR or take the children to school, have actually found that they may have had more time on their hands and, you know, time with their kids in the morning, helping them set up, and then also time to, you know, work in between. So while they are doing something, or when the kids have gone to bed, to be able to log on and continue working has maybe given back some time to people as well, I would argue.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Eriko, what about you? What comes to mind when you think about some of these opportunities and challenges?
Thank you. So I live near Tokyo, and the situation in Japan is almost the same in Hong Kong, maybe. So we are now forced to stay home, work from home since the spread of COVID-19. So we didn't expect this kind of thing, and also I can say we haven't prepared well for this. So such things might give some depression or some bad effect to our feeling. So I think for me too, the big change is time. So I don't need to commute every day now. So you can imagine how busy trains in the morning in Tokyo. So I don't need to get stressed from such time. I'm personally trying to use my time, how can I say, just effectively. So I'm focusing on doing what I want to see. For example, what I want to see from the internet, or what I want to maybe read books, something like that. So I sometimes try to read some news and also do some more additional research on the web, and also dig into some topics I'm interested in. But some other times I just watch my favorite video. So I don't want to be too strict on me in this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Eriko. And what about you, Carolyn? We've just heard that many of us are still working from home, or perhaps in Hong Kong, using a hybrid mode of, you know, sometimes at home and sometimes at work. So my question for Carolyn is, how can we support and encourage women to become even more tech savvy while breaking the norms of staying at home? Any thoughts on that?
Yet I think we unexpectedly hit COVID-19 throughout the world. I think it's been nearly 1 year and we have a lot of stress. So I think all our super ladies already shared their challenges as well as the opportunity. For me, I would like to share with a more different perspective, especially for who used to be the housewife, maybe the full-time housewife. But now with this changing situation, how they quickly adopt to become, maybe my wish list is an entrepreneur. So I think I can share very unique country. We have a telecoms since only 2014. It's our 6 or 7 year journey. However, once we started, we've been telling that we have been leapfrogging so that 90% of our country have a data mobile coverage within 5 years. So another interesting in Myanmar is that people may not have a Gmail or traditional way, but everyone hop into the social media, especially everyone is very glued to Facebook. So in this pandemic situation, I see a lot of housewives nowadays starting their small businesses at home. So just an example, hairdressing, there's some training online and they share their live training so that people I think also start to learn how to do the hairdressing and etc. And also situation since I think around September, we are hit by the second wave very badly. Myanmar is quite bad in this situation. What the unique situation coming is that a lot of housewives also start to sell vegetable online. They have the plantations, e-commerce in the informal way. So I think in other countries that might be evolving step by step. But with this pandemic situation, everything is forced into the digital situation, jump away, and then people start changing their lifestyle and etc. And women especially take this opportunity to do their business opportunity as well. So some of the people I think when I've talked to, they are very much interested to be this digital entrepreneur, transforming as a housewife into the entrepreneurship. And also I think another very interesting things that I would like to share is that it's a digital marketing without any formal courses and etc. They know automatically how to do marketing as a digital way. So that is also another interesting thing. I would like to see how it will going to evolve, especially after pandemic situation. So I think everything is not just a challenge, and as well as opportunity is come hands in hand. Women have to make sure how we grab the opportunity, not just looking at the challenge side. That is my things, especially my country context, I would like to share with you.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Carolyn. I want to hear from Avril again, please. Looking into the future, what do you think businesses can do? Just hearing from the message that Carolyn was talking about in terms of redesigning their work structures to create these new areas for women and possibly men to diversify their skill set. So what are these new areas in your opinion?
So I think if we look at the ABCD, so you've got AI, blockchain, cloud, and data. So everything is now said to evolve around these topics. So I think that will touch every single job to some degree, and some more than others. So, you know, if something that's easily automated, then you perhaps need to look at, you know, how much longer you can do that for, and perhaps you should start looking into how you can help with the progress of digitalization. If your job is involving a lot of paper, then you know that that's definitely going. And so what is it going to look like? Is it going to move onto the blockchain? What does that mean for you? And how can you learn? And so I think it's a double, there needs to be a double approach. Then there needs to be, organizations need to understand what the future means for them and their workforce, and offer internal training for people to upskill, because they're not going to have the right skills. And, you know, it's not practical to, you know, dismiss, you know, one lot of loyal, long tenured staff and replace them with brand new. So, you know, you do need to make use of the talent that you have and to upskill them and to recognize which. So, you know, Carolyn just mentioned digital marketing. That never existed 10 years ago, but, you know, even this conference we're doing today is a virtual conference. So anybody in events management will have very quickly had a very, you know, very steep learning curve to understand how they can manage, you know, multiple Zooms with questions and, you know, how do you get people to participate and network. Networking online was never really something that people would entertain. Now, through force, we have no choice. So if you want to join a conference and you want to meet the speakers, you're going to be doing that through the platform that's being used, and you're going to, you know, have, with different degrees of success, the ability to reach out to those people in a virtual way. So I think individuals have a lot of responsibility too, to identify, you know, what are they doing today and what is their job going to look like in the future, and how can they be part of that journey?
Totally agree with that. Eriko, do you have anything to add as well in terms of what are some of the new areas that you're seeing for women in tech to possibly enhance or diversify their skill sets?
So now we have some difficulties to see people in person, in physically. So in my job, I had to join several conferences with some countries. So usually we have face-to-face meetings and have some maybe discussion during the meeting and also during the coffee break. So the coffee break time is also very important to see what people say and what is behind the scenes, and also especially when they get some agreement from other participants, we use coffee time to do that. So, but we have some communication tools like this Zoom, chat, or of course emails, and some other tools. We can set up calls in a different platform or something. So if we use such tools effectively, so maybe it's not only about women, but we can we can make a progress on our business in a different way. So we have to be maybe very careful, and also communication level of those tools are not so very good in some ways, but I think in order to maybe get very good result in our business, yes, we can do something more.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you that this doesn't just affect women, but people in general. I have a next question for Carolyn. Carolyn, as a follow-on to what Eriko said earlier about how we are all feeling about this pandemic, there may well be challenges for working women whose boundaries for work and life are now blurred. So my question is, when it comes to stress management and striking that work-life balance, how do you think can companies and businesses in Asia prepare for a safer and more productive workplace without sacrificing that well-being of their employees?
I think every organization, especially not only in Asia, worldwide, we used to have a formal town hall and etc. I think our way of communication with our colleagues, etc., have to change drastically. So, for example, in Telenor, we use work chat provided by Facebook, so that it will be a bit more informal and much easier, frequent communication we can go on. That is one thing that we would like to do it. Then also, if you also look at, I think this is the digital journey is a journey. It will not stop here. So I think previously, one of our panelists highlighted a few times as well, upscaling, rescaling is very important. That does not mean only women need to have a rescaling, upscaling. Men are equally needed for those training and etc. So scaling and development, where organizations have to look so seriously on how we're going to retain our talent pool. And most importantly, what I also think another good example is that everyone is having a challenging situation at the personal front as well as the professional front. So how we communications create more platforms for employee to reach out to their leader, not just the formal people assessment or dialogue, but more on the informal check, so that they can share their feelings, they can share their experience, and etc. become a more conclusive workplace. That is where I think corporate really need to make serious effort how we create a series of programs that will really situation for really no. I can give you the example. Every Wednesday we have this invitations we invited to the external practitioner coming to Telenor, of course online, sharing how we manage our stress. So stress management program. Also, we have our group physical fitness program running on every Friday after work hour. So these are some of the activities we need to continue to do it so that our colleagues are not really stressful in this situation, but more on feeling more productive and make sure they also use their extra time more effectively, because I think just now, example from Hong Kong and Japan, we are saving our traveling time. So you're using our traveling time to follow our hobbies and also make sure we do physical exercise, because once you are stuck in the work from home, in the meeting chair, you are very restricted in your physical activity. So make sure we are taking a frequent break and make sure we stretch out, and we also do the regular exercise on daily basis. That is my request to all the female ladies as well.
That's fantastic. So while I have you, Caroline, I want to ask you as well, do you think that digital transformation has accelerated as a result of COVID-19? And if so, how, in your opinion?
Yes, I think normally, I think I also can share with you one joke as well. Who is leading the digital transformations in every organizations? So we used to say this is the CTO or CIO, etc. But actually it's not, it's a COVID-19. Every organization to accelerate our digital journey. So I think every organization has no choice but start to hop into this digital journey. And also, I think Jahar just now mentioned that we have to also make sure our colleagues have a sufficient or proper tools and techniques at home to step in on our digital journey and working from home as well. So what kind of office home environment we have created for our colleagues, that is also important in this transformational journey. Trainings have to be refreshed, and we need to do a lot of refresher course, especially the digital upscaling for our women. People really scared when they have the digital transformation. A lot of people say, okay, this is not our area that we would like to do. However, COVID also forced everybody into the same platform, regardless of men and women, into thinking of the digital way, and everyone stepped into the digital journey in a much faster manner than we expected. So COVID-19 brings a lot of opportunity as well, especially in this digital transformation for every organization. And we get rid of all our traditional policy processes, and everything need to be streamlined and agile.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to kind of like a different topic, but related to women in tech as well. Over the last maybe 5 or 10 years, we've been hearing a lot about complex issues women have to deal with at work, like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when women and men feel inadequate that persists despite evident success. So this is something that we sometimes find in ourselves when we have that negative inner voice and we're convincing ourselves that we don't belong, or that we don't have the right to be successful. Let me ask Avril if you, Avril, have seen any positive change with these concerns, or what have you noticed over the years along this topic?
Yeah, I agree. I think females historically have always been a bit more shy and reserved. You know, you only have to go to a physical conference to see who are the ones who are happy to go and speak to the speakers, to do the networking at the coffee. And it doesn't seem to come as naturally to females, and only maybe the extrovert. I think females need to make more of an effort to make that connection. There was an example that I have where, you know, you have a male and a female going for the same job. They each have exactly the same skills, and, you know, maybe they both have, you know, 5 out of the 7 required. But the male goes into the job interview and says, yes, I can do everything, and doesn't even mention the missing 2 credentials. Whereas the female will go into the interview and go, yes, I've got these, but I'm really sorry, I haven't got these other 2 things. And I think it's a trait of females that we tend to apologize quite a lot, and we don't do ourselves any favors. And so, you know, even if we have exactly the same skills as someone else, we don't over exaggerate. We don't tend to put ourselves forward if we don't tick every single box. And then that just allows the males to supersede us, you know, with promotions, etc. So we do need to have more confidence. We do need to perhaps think, well, I only have 5 out of the 7, but I could get the other 2 whilst I'm working on the job. And within 6 months, I will have, you know, just as good, I'll be just as effective in this role. So I think having the confidence to put yourself forward, and also accepting rejection. So I think the reason that we don't necessarily put ourselves forward is because we don't particularly do very well with rejection. So I think we just need to accept that it's part of the journey, but actually going for it and going through the interview process means that you acknowledge those 2 things. You don't need to labor on them in the interview, but the next time you go for that job, perhaps you'll have done something to bridge that gap, and you'll have used the first interview to prepare you for the second one, which you will then successfully get through.
That's wonderful. What I'm hearing there is to just really focus on expressing that confidence, but also to be kinder to yourself, because we sometimes set really high expectations of ourselves, and not to fear failing. It's okay to fail. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Eriko, do you have anything to add?
Yes. So I fully agree with Avil's opinion. And I think 2 things are key factors for ladies, and those are mindset and action. So to change maybe our mindset from imposter syndrome, I think it's really important to think about what you really want to accomplish in your life, and what you see now in front of you, and how you are going to realize your ideal reality. So such steps are maybe sometimes not so easy and are very small in each, and difficult to see your progress, but if you have motivation, you can do it. And as for action in business, so if you get knowledge about technology, especially catching up new technology, I think such action helps you a lot. So I'm saying this to myself. I work for an all-round telecom company and in Japan, and my section is technology department. So, but my background is not technology. So my bosses always talk to me. So I should study technology more. So if I do it, so the study and acquire technology would be a big benefit for me. So in my recent experience, I had a chance to introduce some new technology to people in another section. So I learned a lot from my colleagues and also from the web. And during the preparation, I felt joy of learning. And I knew that now I acquired what I didn't know. So I just want to say, so if you get such an opportunity, just accept and try it.
That's a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that. We have a question from the audience. So Carolyn, if I may choose you for this one. The question is, how important is it for organizations to focus on STEM, especially for girls, to be able to equip themselves for future digital tech jobs? Well, maybe schools and businesses, I would say. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, especially I think digital learning.
Okay, we may be having some technical issues with Carolyn. Could I ask either Avril or Eriko to share their thoughts on this?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think STEM subjects have been increasing in popularity, particularly in Hong Kong. which is really great. And there's a number of programs to encourage young females to take up these courses. And I think they have been, which has been great. But I think then that there's a tail off where they don't then end up in a role that's doing one of these jobs, unfortunately. But I think it's also up to the parents to acknowledge that working in technology is just as rewarding as working, in a investment bank or as a doctor or as a lawyer. I think, in technology is just as important as these other roles. And I think historically the culture has been, to become an accountant or a lawyer. And I think that needs to change. And parents need to realize that if their, junior females are going to be the next CTO of, Google, then that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I think my line disconnected. So this is what we also adapt. Hello?
Yes, yeah, we can.
Sorry, I think this is what we call adapting the work from home and digital disruptions. My line is disconnected, so I need to reconnect again. So disruption is everywhere. If I have to continue what I say just now, I think it is very, very important for our female to make a very impressive interest to our line manager or leader that we are very interested to learn technology so that our manager are able to tools and technique as well. So I think we female normally used to be very shy, so we never express our feelings or we never express our interests. So that we need to go away and we show our sincere interest in our digital learning journey. And like I can give you the example, I'm a finance. However, I now move to commercial, managing all the technology related product selling. So this is my way of new learning as well. So for female, especially the high level, C level, whenever you are getting this glass ceilings opportunity, you are not just, it's not for you. This is also motivating for all your female colleagues or female young talents to see you as a role model, and they will have more motivations towards this grabbing the opportunity as well. So make sure we have our own confidence, and then we can grab the opportunity wisely, especially learning in the digital journey as well. And I can give you a very good example, which I'm thinking of. Look at the pandemic situation. Which country is managing the best? It's New Zealand, because they use technology and they were less by a female leader. That is what I would like to pass a message as well.
Thank you so much. Eriko, what about from your perspective?
Yeah, so this is my guess, but compared to other country, in Japan, we don't have not so many, how can I say, executive ladies in companies, but in our company, we're trying to increase the number, and so we have a special 1-year training for some, not only ladies, but some men's to work very closely with director class people to see how the maybe picture of the work of that department. So I think this is to build a relationship first, and also give some view from director class people to such senior and also young workers. So it's a very personal training, I think, and some girls get learn a lot and starting the step toward the group leader and also general managers. So we are taking the steps. So such activities we have internally.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I have a question now about security. So since people in general are spending a lot more time on the internet and using telecom services, how can we educate them about cybersecurity, data protection, cyberbullying, and other unforeseen online crimes? If I may start with you, Caroline.
Yeah. I think this is very, very important, especially in this like pandemic situation. A lot of people or a lot of traffic are ongoing right now. So I think organization as an organizational level, we need to really deploy a lot of cyber related preventions and actions that need to take place. Especially we telecom, we are responsible to protect our customer data and data privacy as well. So this is where every organization needs to look at every loophole, how we going to protect. And especially, I think if you look at everyone is now working from home, it's a mobile data. So I think some of the product which our, I think, telco player are working on is a mobile data protection. So that the organization is really protecting the employee data going outside. And awareness session is also very, very important as well at the individual level. And especially women, we have been cheated a lot, especially in the online financial transaction and e-commerce. That educational awareness session, we need to really make an effort to protect our women from the online financial crime being coming to us. And another good example I can give you is very simple. Nowadays, because of COVID, we need to wash our hands every day. So also make sure we are also washing our mobiles, not with the gel, but also with all these cyber attack and etc. And make sure our data and privacy is protected. And even in our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, we need to make sure we are really, really working with the data privacy in every aspect. So I think make sure we wash our hands daily, and at the same time we wash our mobile virus daily and get away of this online cyber virus as well, not only the COVID virus.
Thank you, Carolyn. I just actually wanted to bring in Jahan as well, our keynote speaker this week. Jahan, if you're with us, please share your perspectives on what we've been talking about so far. Anything come to mind for you to share?
So yeah, I mean, the last question that you've just asked, I think there is a lot of education that is required. And my concern is not just for women, but children who are spending a lot of time online. So make sure that they are aware of how to set their privacy settings on social media. Many people are totally unaware of it. And so their data is misused, they are harassed. A lot of women then complain, and they don't know where to go to get help. So there are hotlines now in Pakistan, at least, that have been set up by women where you can, address these issues and make sure that anything that can be done to salvage the situation is done. So I think awareness, both for women and for children, is extremely important in this case. Otherwise, you find that they get themselves into a lot of trouble because, people who are hackers and people who are out to do no good also have a lot of time these days. So they are, they are that time, and unfortunately in a very negative way. So, also you will see when you're on Zoom and you're on various social platforms for communication, sometimes you see that they're attacked by a hacker, so you should know how to deal with it. So a lot of education, I think, a lot of training is required so that people can deal with it.
Wonderful. We have a question from the audience, and this question is for all of our panelists, including our keynote speaker. What's one new skill that you have developed during COVID? Let's start with you, Avril.
I mentioned it before, but I think digital networking. There was a digital identity week a few weeks ago, and I ended up reaching out to the speakers. It's a subject I'm quite interested in. I think it's it's going to mean a lot when we start moving value around the internet. So for me, digital identity is a huge topic, and so I joined a session while I was eating my lunch a few weeks ago, and I reached out to the speakers, and one of the speakers actually works for GSMA, and that's why I'm actually here today. So not only did I digitally reach out to him and connect to him, we met for coffee, and then he invited me to do this panel today. So I think I would say that I have, pretty well got used to joining virtual conferences, even as an attendee, and leveraging that to build my network and to and to make the most of it.
Wonderful. What about you, Eriko?
Yeah, for me, I said I often, these days, I often read some news on the internet. So when I do it, I try to, I try not just read it, but try to find fact behind it. And if something is missing on the article, I try to do some other research, maybe to go to BBC site and some CBS or something and see the fact we have, and also how, and also at the same time, I think I try to think how I feel or what I can do maybe to change the situation if that happens in my real life. So now COVID is spreading in the world, and the detailed situation is different in each country, but everybody is suffering from it. So sharing such information and think about something together, such cooperation is really important. And also, so in some countries, some how can you say, the spread is very severe, and also do not have any health situation is not always good for especially all elderly people. So it's really willingness for people, and from how can I say, recover from such feeling is really important for women. So because always women has to take care of family. And on that point, I really want to, how can I say, see things first and also do some help in reality and also in digital world.
Thank you, Eriko. Carolyn, what about you? What's a new skill that you've developed during the pandemic?
Oh, that is a very recent one I can give you. I think Myanmar is now the Lighting Festival. We call it the Rinjut. So we used to visit our relative house. I mean, same as Hong Kong. We used to pay respect to the elderly like they did in the Chinese New Year, which all are restricted in this situation. What I need to do, and also I'm very masterful right now, is online shopping for all the food and grocery. Then after that, dispatch to all the relative houses and different houses we send out with the delivery, and paying respect to all these elderly as a festive celebration in the digital way. So quickly, not only the workforces, but family, even our grandparents are now enjoying the digital way of life and digital lifestyle. So this is a very unique danger situations where we are restricted. We cannot visit that relative house, but we can able to send our respect and goodies and pay respect to our elderly in the digital way. And also, I think in next month, Myanmar will have another good religious festival will be coming. I believe that will be the first time Myanmar also adapt digital way, and I also need to be very masterful in that, celebrating the festive season as well. So that is one thing. So I'm very masterful in the online shopping, grocery especially, and manage all these distributing food to our family and networking. And of course, I think with my team, I'm very masterful with my digital way of celebrating birthday with my team member. Everyone has a birthday month, then we send cake and we all come in together and we celebrate birthday for our colleague. So that is also what we call the digital networking that I'm improving a lot. And the third one is the most important one. I'm now learning how to bake cake. I'm learning from Facebook. So now I'm trying to use the digital technology to learn a new cooking skill, which is baking cake for my maybe beloved colleague if I'm successful.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to kind of wrap up this section of our panel now. Before we do that, I just wanted to invite the speaker again to share other things that are popping up in your mind while we are exchanging here, Jahan.
Yeah, so I was just thinking that when you asked everybody what was the one thing they learned, I think the one thing I learned was how to be patient because when you're in lockdown and there's really nothing you can do about it, you have to learn to be patient. And I think empathy is another thing, the kind of support that you can offer to your team and to people within your community. Those are things that I use technology for the first time. Otherwise, usually it's in person, and I'm a very social sort of animal. So to be able to keep that social distance and to still be able to do many of the things that I'm able to, I think I should thank technology for that. Otherwise, you would be totally disconnected. So patience, definitely something that I learned.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that one. So to close, I just want to ask everyone again, in one word, just one word, how would you summarize your final message to women in technology who are watching this panel discussion?
Me?
Yes?
Flexibility, that's my word.
Flexibility, thank you. Eriko?
Yes. Aspiration.
Beautiful, aspiration. Carolyn?
We women are as equally capable as men. That is my message.
Say that again, Carolyn, I didn't hear that.
We women are as equally capable as men, so we can do it.
Capability, fantastic. And Jahan?
Yeah.
Think belief in yourself. That's extremely important. As I think Avril was saying, or Carolyn said earlier, we tend to question ourselves too much. There's so much we know, and I would add to Carolyn and say, we are not only as good as men, many of us are better than many of the men we know. So let's not, let's believe in ourselves. And, we tend to do so much, but we don't sort of appreciate ourselves enough. So I think appreciation is definitely something that we have for ourselves and our capabilities.
Wonderful, appreciation. And on that note, I'm going to hand you guys back to Christina, I should say. Christina, thank you so much. And thank you to the panelists and to our keynote speaker. Christina, over to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you, Aurora. Thank you for all the panelists and keynote speaker for the wonderful, insightful presentations and panels. I would like to introduce Julian Gorman, our head of Asia Pacific GSMA, to give us a closing note, because without his support, we will not be able to have this Women4Tech Roundtable. Welcome, Julian. Okay. Okay, so maybe Julian is on another session. In that case, we will end the sessions. And again, thank you very much for all your help. And Julian is here. Okay, so
maybe just unmuting himself, perhaps.
So. Okay, let me. No, I don't see him.
Can we unmute Julian, please? I think he's a participant, so we've unmuted.
Okay. Okay, I know why. Okay, in that case, I'll have his I thought he will be okay, let me promote him. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I have video as well, if that can be unmuted. I'd like to, well, thank you all. And I've actually been sitting here the whole time enjoying the conversation. So thank you all the speakers and panelists for, I think, that great debate. I suppose for me, it's easy in these tougher times of COVID where, economic downturn and impact on companies that programs like Women4Tech or diversity can be suspended or put to the side as seen as maybe an excess expense. And I think it's critical. Yep.
Are you back, Julian?
Back. Let me see. Maybe I turn my video on. There we go. Fantastic technology. Thank you for letting me join. So I was just saying there that it's easy in tough times for diversity and inclusive and Women4Tech programs to the side. And for me, it's core to our business and it's core to the industry. To be honest, my first job out of university was a coal mine. Now, if you want to find an industry that's not particularly diversity friendly or inclusive, it's coal mines. And there's been movies about it. I watched a movie the other day with Charlize Theron about a mine in America. And interestingly, a lot of the movie resonated with a personal experience I had in that mine, and having a friend who was one woman amongst 130 miners trying to make her way in a career in underground coal mining. And I know that the decisions and the environment were tougher for her than it was for me, because I mean, I didn't have those challenges, but in actually seeing the way her career was impacted has had a lifelong impact on myself, and why I've always wanted to be and help champion Women4Tech issues and things like that. Ideally, we get to the point where we don't need to have these things. It should be the destination that we all want to achieve. And I hope to see that day. I hope it comes in my working career that we get to that point. I know when I was in Myanmar with Urdu, and Connected Women was one of my responsibilities. Entering into Myanmar at the time of a country which had spent many years effectively isolated from the world, isolated from the internet. I found personally in developing my team, the enthusiasm and the willingness of women in the that I was looking to recruit to actually help grow the business far exceeded the capability of the men who'd grown up in a sort of also in an indoctrinated society in what they thought was meant for them. But it was the ability for women to actually step out of the template or the stereotype that were the ones who really helped, I think, my team lead. And I think even to this day in Urdu, I think my team is seen as a benchmark in how a team can move forward much better with a good, strong support from women. So from my side, I thank you for this. I hope this is not our only engagement and participation with you in this program, and that Christina leads this program for us in the region and it's part of a global program. Aurora's an old colleague of mine from Vodafone from a long time ago, and thank you very much for joining, and thank you to the other speakers as well. And for the audience out there, please become part of our Women4Tech community. It is an active community. We continue to seek to grow it. Despite the downturns, it is one of our champion communities in the region, and I look forward to you all being part of the next event when it comes. So thank you all.
Thank you, Julian. And thank you very much once again to all the attendees and all the speakers and panelists. And we will close for this roundtable now. And I hope you will join our LinkedIn APAC Women4Tech group to listen and to hear from our latest news on Women4Tech initiatives. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.